want to do is let's start from the beginning a little bit, I guess.
Mm,
So you've been in the mortgage business now for a long time, but what brought you here to AWM?
Great question. A few years ago, I decided that it was time to kind of launch out on myself and open up a branch. Um, I interviewed around with few different companies, but I ended up at AWM because there was so much support on the sales side and the company side, and meeting with you early on in the whole process of looking for the right company, it just helped solidify and reassure that this was the place to be. And so I've you know I've never been with a company so supportive of sales, such great operations, and this is the place to be for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
the one thing that I know about you and the many conversations that we've had talking to your team, and also even more important, the feedback that I get from operations, underwriting, and things of that nature is that you run a great operation and that you really understand
Yeah.
the back office piece of the business. Tell me, I think it's 18 plus years in the business. What is the one thing that you would attribute your success operationally? What would be the one secret element there that you would attribute your success to?
Hmm. I would say because of my operational background, I've seen a lot. I've seen good loans get killed in underwriting. I've seen bad loans go in and just, ultimately die just because they weren't, they shouldn't have been a loan to begin with. But I've seen it all. And so one of the main things that I've learned throughout my operational career is you have one shot.
Mm.
And so I always tell not only myself, but my team and my loan officers, um, you have one shot to present the deal to underwriting the best way possible to have a successful outcome. And so if you spend more time upfront in the beginning process, you're just setting yourself up for success, and not only yourself, but the family that you're working with. And
Yeah.
so, we have to do our due diligence on the front end to make sure
Yeah.
that we have the best shot possible.
So that's a great point. You're known for, your teaching, your coaching of that piece,
Mhm.
meaning, sitting down with a loan officer, having a conversation. I'm sure you get some pushback from time to time. How do you approach a loan officer who, let's say, is not as concerned about the quality of the file, and as you said, is not setting himself or herself up for success?
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, the typical loan officer wants to get their deal in and wants to close tomorrow, right? And so I have to back them up and really coach them in a way where they need to understand that they have to learn how to work well with operations. And so they need to put their operational hat on.
Mm.
They need to think like a processor. They need to think like an underwriter. Um, because, if they don't, they're going to end up rushing the process and they're going to be submitting things prematurely to underwriting um, without really thinking through it. And it's going to set up, the loan for disaster, which
So
is which
really,
is not fair.
So really it's about changing the mindset, I think
Yeah.
is what I'm hearing you say. And I'll tell you, in my 30 plus years in this business, the most successful sales leaders, folks like yourself, it never fails, hands down. They understand the back office piece, the operational piece of the business. Having just a sales first, sales centric mentality is usually an issue when it comes to what we're talking about here today. Structuring the deals
Yep.
correctly, making sure it's buttoned up. Is there something that you could identify a difference between the loan officers that get it and those that don't?
Um, Look, I mean, not everyone's going to think operationally, and I get it. Especially those successful loan officers who just they're sales driven. They focus on the next deal. They focus on the next, realtor relationship. And look, I appreciate those people. I appreciate, that personality and that tenacity to go out and get the next deal. So not everyone's going to think the way I think, and that's
Mhm.
okay, And so my approach there is, you know what? Let them lean into my staff, let them lean into my systems and procedures that I have in place and go do what they do best, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna force someone to change the way they think. Am I gonna coach them? Sure. But at the end of the day, most loan officers want their deals closed, and especially the seasoned ones. And so, I just have to do my part and support them the best I can.
Yeah, so what you've been able to do there is really identify the strengths and weaknesses of each of your team. And I
Yeah,
think that that's a huge piece of providing the right support. If you don't understand and cannot identify the weakness, then it's really hard and difficult for you to provide the proper support. But I
right.
think ultimately, yeah, there are going to be situations where you're not going to get someone to that next level operationally. So what you're saying is, hey, don't worry about it, because if you're not there or don't want to be there, I still have what it takes. I have the operational support and the team to let you go out and do what you do best.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's fantastic. So you've mentored both rookies and, as you said, seasoned loan officers.
Yep.
What's your approach to somebody that's just new to the business, or possibly, only has a year or two under their belt?
Great question. So that's like one of my passions with what I do, and so I I have an eye for looking for the people who are looking for something, and so who wouldn't traditionally have the relationships or the opportunities to really launch a successful career for themselves, whether they don't have the tools, they don't have the relationships, and a lack of opportunity. And so I'm actually looking for those people right now to invest in. Um,
Okay.
I have a special place in my heart to really give hope to people who feel hopeless, right, in their careers, whether they're a young family, whether they're just out of college, they don't know what to do, with their careers. Um, I have a special place in my heart for them, and I believe that, it's my mission really to give hope to some people, give them the training, the mentorship, the tools, the that they need for success, and really, bless them as much as I can, so
And
whatever I
man,
can do.
Ray, I tell you, that's important because there is no mortgage 101. You can't go to college to become a loan officer. And one of the biggest challenges in our industry is bringing people a younger generation, a younger demographic into our industry. And so
Yeah.
your type of support and your, I guess, perspective on how you can help and give back to that, to our industry and those that need it. That's we need a lot more of that for sure. Um, what would you say right now is the biggest challenge in terms of your market? So you're in the Nashville area, which has really exploded over the last few years. Everybody knows that. I
Yeah.
think probably one of the fastest growing cities in the country. You got a new football stadium going in, all kinds of
Yeah.
great things happening there. What would you say, though, is the biggest challenge in deal structure? So the typical customer home buyer coming into your pipeline, what's the biggest challenge that you face?
Biggest challenge right now is I would say, it's not necessarily a challenge for me here at AWM, but I would say the biggest challenge out there in the community is finding that alternate income type lending, the non-QM lending right now.
Okay.
A lot of lenders, a lot of competitors that are in the area right now, they just don't have the product out there, and so they either have the product, but they have to send it out. They have to, it's got to go outside of their institution. They have to broker it out. And so a lot of those loans right now are just, there's not enough promoting of that. There's not enough kind of
Awareness.
correct, yeah, awareness and education out there in the community. And a lot of loans are getting killed. A lot of people's lending opportunities are just falling apart because of that. And so, a challenge is also an opportunity. And
Mm,
so that's the way I look at it right now, because we have such a fantastic, suite of non-QM products here at AWM, and it's all in-house and it's all at my fingertips. And the marketing group makes it easy to kind of get the word out too here. So, that's kind of where I see the current struggle is here in the community as far as mortgage goes.
yeah.
But like I said, it's an opportunity for us.
I appreciate you bringing that up because I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think that, what we've really tried to do is stand out in that unique space.
Right.
Non-QM, everybody knows about non-QM, but I think a lot of loan officers are afraid of originating the product because they just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And they're not fortunate enough to have someone like yourself to support them if they bring it in. And then I think beyond you, there's even the non-QM team that is there to provide that additional support. And to me, that was a game changer in our business model. I believe it's one thing to say, hey, Ray, here's this great DSCR non-QM product. Good luck, right? And you're
Right.
sort of challenged to figure it out, train your team. I think it's important that we provide that support at our level here at the company to make sure that you're most successful with that product.
Definitely, definitely. And not every loan officer, especially myself. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of these, of every program out there. But like you said, we have a great team internally that, responds within minutes, literally when you reach out to them. And their job and what they love doing is putting deals together and making deals happen. And
Yeah,
so I,
that's
I
fun.
so appreciate them. They're
Yeah,
great.
that's fun. That's fun. So let's switch gears a little bit. So, if I'm a loan officer and I'm looking for a change, whether it's operational support or whatever my issues may be. Sounds like maybe some help with non-QM would
Mhm.
go well there. But what would you say to me that I'm going to get with you and your team that I'm not getting where I'm at today?
Yeah, good question. A lot of loan officers out there right now, I've come to find that they don't have a partner with them. Their executive management team or their sales leader is just super far, super distant from them, and really, quite frankly, doesn't want to be involved in the intimate details of what's
Mhm.
going on in someone's career and someone's pipeline. And I am here truly as a partner. I just met with a new loan officer yesterday, and I told her, look, your loan is my loan, right? It's
It's
our
huge.
loan together, right? And so, um, and that just boosts confidence. That allows them to be the best that they can be out there. And I have their back every step of the way. And so, whatever I can lend to making their job um, as easy as possible on them. But not only that, I want loan officers to work, right? I want them to
Mhm.
care about what they do and put a lot of effort in. But also at the same time, I want them to know that I'm with them every step of the way,
Mhm.
right? And so constant support. I answer my phone. I'm there to meet with them one on one, and we tackle every loan together. You know.
Yeah, I think especially in today's market, which look, you and your team are doing a fantastic job. I'm sure everybody would love to be doing more volume, but at this point, there's a lot of people out there looking for exactly what you're describing. When interest rates were 3%, nobody cared. Loans were flowing in, and you just had a lot of business. You didn't need a lot from someone in your position. But today, that dynamic has completely changed. And I
Right.
think that if somebody's listening to this today, they're feeling like, I don't have the leadership on the ground. I don't have a partner in this business. Man, Ray, what you're providing and the support and the strength behind what you're doing, I think is a game changer for people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, especially in this market, in this climate that we're in right now, every loan matters, right?
Oh, yes.
Aside from the fact that there's families, right? I mean, we need to keep that in mind too, that a loan isn't just the potential to earn more income that month or to pay your bills, but there's a true family on the other end,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
so they need us to perform at our very best on every single deal. And we do a great job here at AWM to really make every single deal that we can. We do our very best. And it starts early in the process. Do your due diligence. Loan officers make a lot of money. They make a
mhm.
lot of money. And my dad always told me in the business when I first got in operations, um, he kind of ran the ship operationally, and I learned everything from him. But his one pushback to the loan officers that would come in and try to just throw deals in, he would tell them, you guys make a lot of money, and so uh, do your job and take a
Yeah,
great 1003,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you shouldn't leave holes in the 1003. Do a fantastic job on the front end because that's going to set up the whole loan, from start to finish. And so,
I
yeah,
commend you on having that sort of expectation because yeah, you're right. The economics are very impressive if you're a productive loan officer,
yeah,
but I think it's great to have expectations also and to always push to get people to that next level and improve what they're doing. One point that you made that I don't want to skip over, and I tell you it's exactly the way that I talk about things here at the corporate level is, behind every loan are human beings. There's a family, there's a mom, a dad, a kid. There's a kid waiting to move into that bedroom. There's our referral partners who have to feed their family. So you hit the nail on the head with that comment. There is just so much going on here. And, after a certain number of loans, it's easy to forget about that. But I love that you are holding on to that connection and making sure that your people understand that.
yeah, yeah, because the client's going to feel it no matter what, right? So if you're not looking at them and truly caring and empathetic for their situation, they're going to read that early on, and you may not even have that loan, after a week, they'll feel that disconnect.
What kind of referral partners would you say gravitate to you and your team? And if you had to have a message out to a real estate agent or even a builder
Yeah.
for that matter, but how would you describe and kind of discuss with them how your team operates?
Yeah, I just met with a new referral partner earlier in the week, and she was working with a local competitor. Great team, they do a lot of business, but they're very big, and there was just a disconnect between the team leader and then the team that was there too, and so the realtor started to feel like they were just another number. They were just
Mhm.
someone else in the big conveyor belt and pool of leads that this loan officer team gets. And they were just feeling a disconnect. And so I would say the realtors out there that are a good fit for my team are the builders. They're looking for a personalized service. And so it's great to grow, right? It's great for my business to grow and for me to have goals of growing and all that. But it's on me to make sure that my service stays personalized.
Yeah.
And so, I gotta hire the proper teammates in place and make sure that every realtor that I work with feels like they're the only one. And so
Mhm.
that's really those are the ones that I feel like I work best with. Yeah.
Well, I don't know of an agent out there that doesn't want exactly what you just described. So pay attention, folks. This is your man for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think in a business where we talk about artificial intelligence and we talk about technology and we talk about the big companies of our industry. At the end of the day, most real estate agents, even builder partners, they don't care about any of that stuff. They don't care how big you are. They don't care how many loans you're closing. They want to make sure that they're getting taken care of, them and their clients. So, yeah, man, you're right on the money with that. So, well, look, Ray, as we wrap this up, I just want to. What do you see? What's the vision that you have for your team as we head into the end of? I can't believe I just said that. The end of 2025. We're almost halfway through it. But what do you see for the rest of this year?
I envision my goals for the rest of the year is putting the right team players in place, hiring the right people who share the vision, right? I'm looking for people that, I hire to my values, right?
Mhm.
To our team's values, people who share the same vision, who want to go to the same place. And also I'm really looking to diversify. Um, we don't cater after one certain group of clients. We want to serve a broad spectrum of clients. We want to have a product for everyone out there. And so I appreciate what you're doing, Chris, in your seat to make sure that there's a product out there for everyone. Like literally, you support sales and branch managers so much to be able to offer a solution out there. And so I envision, just growing together with my team, making a big impact in the community, and have a lending solution for everyone out there. And
Yeah,
so, pedal to the metal always.
there you go.
We're not slowing down. Summer months are busy, but before we know it, we're going to be in fourth quarter, and fourth quarter, you should be setting up for 2026 coming. So that's what we're all about.
Right on. Well, listen, I love what you're doing out there in Nashville. I mean, you're creating just the right environment, and we will look forward to your success, my friend. So, thanks for
Yeah.
joining me today. I really appreciate your being on the show here, and look forward to the future with you, buddy.